All right, hello everybody. We're back with another one. At this point, I'm finished with Kroon. Now I'm working for the Giants as an official translator and uh, helping out with the foreign players. There was actually a newspaper article I posted probably before, and I'll post a picture again, talking about things I've done. I've been interviewed, and it was kind of a not a big thing, but it was big because the teams don't hire an American as an interpreter. It was a very uncommon thing, and especially the Giants, as well as it was the first time in the Giants' history, which was like 80 years or something. So this was it was huge, and I was honored. I was just finally made it, and I felt like things were finally starting to fall in place. So the off season comes, and I get an offer from the Giants to continue as an interpreter officially this time, like a yearly contract, and of course the pay goes up and everything, and it's a real, and after they finish signing the players and stuff, then they come to the staff, like the part time, like me and stuff, and we sign our contracts. So I still had time, so you go to the office every day, and you go during the off season, and you work on next year's possible foreigners, video editing, stuff like that, trying to find who's next on the scouts send you videos, so translating emails, whatever. So I think that year something was going on back home. I think my mom wasn't feeling good, so I kind of wanted to go home and visit her. It was like I wanted to go see her, but if I left, I would miss contract. It was just an awkward situation, an awkward time. But I was trying to figure out, because if I signed the contract, then I'm working again, so I would have no time to go. And so it's during the off season, and this player that's been in Japan for a long time, and he's a legend here. I mean, he's got MVP back to backs. He's got all kinds of awards. He's just a legend. So he comes back to Japan, and he calls me, and he's like, "Hey, do you got time to talk? Have dinner?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I go meet with him and his people, and he was like, "Have you signed the contract to stay with the Giants?" Now he originally was with the Giants, but he was moving teams the next season. So I was like, "Oh, I haven't signed yet," and he was like, "Well, I kind of wanted to offer you a job," and I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Well, I want to, because I want to do some things in Japan. I want to, create a company and do a lot more, interaction with Japan, because I plan on living here forever, even after I retire from baseball." And I was like, "Okay," he goes, "And I'm figure, your salary is probably going to be about this much, so I'm going to give you more, and to make it worth the." And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is my dream. This is what I wanted. This is everything that I've been fighting for. I'm with a big team. I'm with a company. I mean, this team is not going anywhere. I mean, do I really want to give it up? And so, he gave me a number that he was going to pay, and it was a great number. I'm like, wow, that's good. But you know, this thing could be short term, long term. I don't know. This thing is with the team. As long as I play by the rules and do it, could be my retirement. And I'm like, I don't know. And then he puts like $10,000 on the table. And he's like, plus that's your signing bonus if you decide to take the job, as well as, I know you said you wanted to try to go home. I'll get you a plane ticket home. And after that, you can come and visit me at my place, one of the islands, and we'll hang out for a vacation before the season starts. And he goes, but I need to know now, because I need to start making preparations. We need to start, we want to get moving on this stuff. So I need to know your answer. Now, do I take a less pay with a with a major company, dream job that I've been working for all this time, or do I make not double but close to double with the 10 grand right in front of me, as well as a good contract that says, if severance pay type thing if I quit, or they fire me or whatever, as well as free trip home, first class, as well as going to one of the islands and hanging out. And in a good world, in a good situation, I would love to say that I I stayed to my roots and I kept true to my true feelings. I mean, I'd love to tell you that right now, that I was like, I stayed with the Giants. I kept the job, but the job that I've been working for all these years. Money wasn't important to me at the time. It wasn't about that extra couple dollars or the first class trip. It wasn't about that. It's about who I was as a person. I'd really like to tell that to you right now, but as you can see in the picture, it's not quite what happened. So I took the money, put it in my bag, shook a hand, and there started the next chapter of my life. I went home, so I wasn't there to sign a contract with the Giants. I was no longer with the team anymore. I had one great year. They told me I could come back at any time I wanted. I was always welcome, a part of the family and stuff. And went home, visited my family, had a great time. I had 10 grand to blow. Of course, I had a great time. Went to the island, hang out there for a little bit, had a great time. Came back and went to start my new job and get this thing. And started off great. Everything went well. They were trying to do stuff. They're trying to create some restaurants and things like that. And I'm helping designing. I'm helping getting everything going. I'm just, just setting everything up. And there was some unforeseen circumstances that had popped up midway, probably about 5-6 months later. And not just with me. It was a difficult situation for everybody involved. And it was kind of like, maybe I should take a step back, let their things figure out what's going to happen, and then, maybe move back take a step forward again. So, and the player was like, look, either way I have to pay you for the year. So here's the year's salary, just do what you need to do, and then we'll figure it out after things pan out on that end. So I was like, okay, now I'm jobless again, but I have a year's salary already, so I don't have to work for a year if I didn't want to. But I took a lot of that money and I put it in an account for my daughter, so she would be okay for college for a little bit anyway. I mean, I didn't put it all. I needed the money to survive, but I gave her a good paycheck. Just why I had the money here. I mean, that was like the first choice. And this is the difference in the States and Japan. And when I went to the meeting and they were like, look, this is, we're gonna have to pause everything right now, and we're really sorry, but because of the contract, here's a year's salary, and it was all just right there, just cash basically. And so I put it in my bag, my Louis Vuitton, bag. I'm like, okay, I understand. So I'm going home and I'm on the train, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I do next? What am I going to do? And I'm mailing, my ex-wife, telling her, look, I want to go open up an account for Ayana. I want to put this money in there for her. And I'm not even thinking about it. And I'm on the train and I'm just in the mail, and I go to get something out of my bag, and my bag is wide open, and there's a lot of those like stacks of $1,000, $10,000 stacks just in my bag right there, just open on the side of me. Crowded train. I mean, anybody could have just grabbed some stacks and walked by. I wouldn't have even noticed it. Didn't even think about it. And I'm just looking around, and people are looking and they're like, damn, what's this guy? And they could see the money. I mean, it's right there. Of course, I zipped up the bag, but if that had been the States, I would have never made it off that train. But yet again, that's another good thing about Japan, a little more safe, I guess. So I opened up my daughter account. I put some money in there for her. I'm trying to figure out my next move. I'm reaching out to some people. Like, I don't want to take a year off because, I'll be back in the same situation again. And I actually reached out to the Giants, and it was mid-season. So they were like, yeah, we might be able to bring you on, but, it's mid-season. It'd be better if it was the beginning of next season. But if we can always talk to the team. I was like, hold on. So a friend had introduced me he said, I have a company it's a big, it's called Fields. It's a big pachinko content company. They own all the content that's used in the pachinko machines and stuff. And they have a sports department. They're looking for people to help get this, get bigger. So I'm like, okay, well, I can meet with them. So I remember it was the hottest day of the year. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Literally, that was the hottest day of the year. It was up on the news. It was like, I don't know, 102 degrees and 100% humidity. And I'm outside waiting for this guy in a suit. And I am sweating in places I didn't even know could sweat. I'm burning up. He comes up wearing like cut off pants and a t-shirt. And he was like, oh, hey, Bachi? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, you didn't have to wear a suit. It's too hot for a suit. And I was like, now you tell me. So we go have a coffee, and he asked questions about me. And he's like, we're trying to do this, the sporting department. And, he said, actually, I have some friends that know you from the TV station that when you were with the Giants, they said you were a really good guy. And he did his research, and he knew who I was. And he was like, I really think we can use somebody like you to help us expand, and plus not just the sports side. They wanted to expand internationally with like selling their content to like the state side, and which Vampire Hunter D, I helped my cousin get rights to that in the States and stuff because they own that. Ultraman, they own the rights to Ultraman. All these companies, they had the rights, so they wanted to expand more international. So he's like, I think we can use you, so I'll get back to you. And I was like, okay, and I'm not stressing because I still have money. I mean, I had that paycheck, so I was just like, yeah, let me know. And then a headhunter reached out to me So a friend was like, I guess they were looking. He was like, and this will lead into another story later. But this headhunter meets up with me. And he's like, hey, Red Bull Japan is looking for someone to help in their sports marketing department, and help get it going and run it, and whatever. What are just sports management stuff? And that's me. I love Red Bull. I drink it all the time. I love what they do. I love everything that they stand for. I mean, the fact of just the things they've created, and I'm just like, oh, that's a dream. That's my dream job right there. So I meet with this headhunter, and now the thing about headhunters you need to understand, and it's not all headhunters. I know a lot of headhunters. They're good people, but their salary is based off what you make the first year. They get a percentage of that kind of thing. So their whole thing is like selling a house. They want their commission. So I meet with this guy, and I tell him my resume. I tell him everything about me. He's like, oh, wow, and it's going great. I mean, this guy's like impressed. And he's like, so you speak Japanese? I said, dude, I was an interpreter for the Tokyo Giants. Of course I speak Japanese. I'm just cocky. What about your reading and writing? Like, well, that's a different story. A couple forms of reading and writing I'm good at. The other ones, the harder ones, and not so much. And he's like, oh, okay, well, And I'm like, but it's an international company. Most of the time, it's done through English. The Japanese is handled through the Japanese staff. So I knew it wasn't a big issue either. And he's like, okay. And we're getting down to the bottom of all the questionnaires. What do you do? And do you drink? And I said, I love Red Bull. I drink it because when I go to clubs, I don't drink alcohol. So I always have Red Bull with me. So everybody thinks I'm drinking Red Bull and vodka, but it's really just Red Bull. He's like, oh, that's good. And so you like the product. I said, I love the product. And I was like, I love this. And I love this sport that they do. I love this. And I'm just going off. And I mean, literally, I think this is the perfect job for me. I think that this is what I was made for. Because, just the sports and what they do in sports, all the sports that they handle and they work with, I love everything. And so I meet with this headhunter, and he gets down to the how much do you want to make per year category. And he puts down like, I don't know, it was like $150,000 a year type thing. I was like, no. I said, yeah, of course, I would love to make that kind of money in the year, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm the person that, I will go in at the bare minimum of what I can make to survive, and the first year I will work my ass off, and then from there, if they want to keep me, they'll pay me what they think I'm worth. That's how I work. So I don't need to put the other one, whatever the minimum was that I needed to survive. I mean, I calculated it at the time, and he was like, oh, well, that's too low, and blah blah blah. And I was like, no, it's not. For me, it's not. He's like, but you're worth so much more. I'm like, I want them to see that. I'll prove it. I would rather prove it than them just think, oh, this guy is just overcharging, blah, blah, blah. So we argued about this. And I'm like, look, this is my resume. This is my thing. I circled it, and he can't change it now. I mean, I was like, I understand what you're saying, and I understand. I appreciate your belief in me, but I have my own belief in myself, and this is how I do it. And I didn't think about it at the time, but his whole issue was the cheaper I get paid, the less he makes off this deal. And meaning I'm not going to be a priority when it goes to pushing it through. So I had that meeting. It started great, ended horrible. So we do that meeting, and we go home, and I don't hear from him for a few days. Maybe a week went by, didn't hear anything. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's not happening. And then the Fields company called me, and they're like, hey, we want to hire you. Can you come in next Monday and start? The contract to be 3 days a week as a consultant, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. I'll see you Monday. So like, I got a job. It's a job, and the money is good, and I don't have to go in every day, but of course I'm going to prove myself, like I said. And it's Sunday night, the headhunter calls me, and he was like, and I'm like, oh, are you serious? Please don't tell me I got the job now, because I don't want to call this company and tell them I'm sorry, I'm not going to take it after, it's just an awkward situation. So the headhunter calls me, and he was like, hey, I talked to my people in Red Bull, but they said that you're not qualified enough, and what was it? Because of your lack of Japanese writing skills, they can't use you to write contracts for the athletes. Now, in Japan, only lawyers can write the contracts for the athletes. It's like you have to be a certified lawyer to handle any kind of contracts here. It's just Japanese law. So I'm like, I couldn't write the contracts in the first place. That wouldn't even be an option, And they were like, yeah, but that's just what they said. You're not qualified enough. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I hang up the phone, and I'm like, not qualified enough? And it just hurt my pride. I've never not been qualified enough for any job that I've ever tried to do. Even if I wasn't qualified, I got qualified quick. So, but I had a job, so I really, what was the big deal? So I start with Fields, and great people, great atmosphere, and my job is just to network and bring things in and try to bring athletes and stuff. But this stayed in the back of my head the whole not qualified enough for the Red Bull thing. So it really bothered me. So I reached out to some friends and said, hey, do you know anybody in Red Bull? I'd like to meet with them and just have a sit down. And they're like, yeah, of course. And so that friend of mine introduces me to one of these head guys in Red Bull, and I go have lunch with him. And I was like, I know this is awkward and I'm sorry, but I just really need to know what wasn't qualified about me. What wasn't, I have the athlete management. I've been doing it for 6 years. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, this headhunter reached out to me and told me that you guys were looking for it. Then he was like, well, we are going to start doing that, but not yet. It's not for another month or two. And I was like, yeah. And he said that he talked to your people. And he was like, no, because the guy who's handling that's not even in Japan right now. And then that would go through me. But I haven't ever even heard your name before outside of who I know that knows you. There's just never been a resume that came to our table with your name on it. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, you would be an ideal fit for what we do and everything like that, of course. And I was like, oh. So, the headhunter, basically what he did was he took the people that he can make more money off of, put them at the top of his priority list, cut everybody else off. And then when Red Bulls actually opened up the doors to do this sports marketing management type department or whatever they were trying to do, he was going to submit those 2 or 3 top guys so he could make his top money. And he hadn't even talked to Red Bull. Red Bull had no idea what was, it was just him doing it on his own, just trying to jump ahead of the game. But from that day, I have been extremely close to Red Bull. These guys are awesome, and they always support any of the athletes or celebrities I'm dealing with. Say whoever has a concert in Hokkaido, and they're like, oh, I love Red Bull. I drink it before every show. Red Bull is like, we'll send them a case 5 minutes later if I ask them, if I call them and say, hey, athletes during camp, they'll be like, hey, Bachi, can I get a couple of cans of Red Bull? And they're just amazing. And maybe someday, if I get fired from this job, I love my job, don't get me wrong, but if I ever, was jobless, they would be the first company I would apply for like throw in my resume to see if I can get a job there, because I just love everything they're doing and what they stand for, and I love the product itself. So, we've been friends ever since then. It was, they had nothing to do with it, and but now I'm like part of the family, and I didn't even have to go through an interview, so it worked out for the best. So anyway, after that, I met with the Red Bull people. They were like, no, it's not that we never even did anything. I felt better after that, and I started working at Fields, and now Fields is a whole nother story. I'll go into details on that later. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and I hope you enjoyed. Talk to you later.